And we're live.
We're
Here we are.
live.
Hello, mums, breaking the cycle. We're here in group today with Aneesa, and we are talking about freeing your voice.
Mm.
So, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, Rebecca,
There's a big truck coming past. We're on holiday. Yeah, it's typical. It's been like just bird song. This whole 10 minutes we've just been chatting privately, and then we go live and a lorry goes past. But we're on holiday here at like a caravan park, and it's absolutely lush, gorgeous sunshine, birds singing. Arthur's been finding butterflies. But yeah, there is a big road over there, so we can't see it, but we can hear it occasionally with the big thing.
Don't worry, can't hear anything.
Sorry about that. Seems to have gone now. So yeah, introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what it is.
I do. Okay. Well, my name's Aneesa Chaudhry. I'm a voice and performance coach, and there are lots of things that I've done in my life, ranging from all the sort of stereotypical stuff that I think Asian girls do, which is I trained to be a barrister. It's all right, Arthur, don't worry.
Oh wow!
I trained to be a barrister.
Tell us about all the insects he's finding.
Oh. But I'm also a professional singer. I do a lot of community work with people in the community to help bring confidence out in their voices, in finding your inner voice, and then finding a way to get out what it is that's inside of you. I mean, what I'd really love to know is a little bit about the group, and then start to talk a little bit more about how I came to do what I do and see how I can help.
Sure, of course. So in this group, it's exclusively a group for mums, anyone who identifies as a mum. And the main thing is, like in the title, the breaking the cycle. So we tend to be mums who are looking for an alternative to the mainstream, a way of parenting that isn't the do as I say, not as I do, reward and punishment. Sorry, just 1 second. What, darling?
It's all right.
No, don't put water on the cat, please. I don't think he's going to enjoy it, is he? What do you think? Would he like it?
Yeah.
You think he'd like it? I'm not so sure.
I think.
And generally breaking generational cycles, you know. I mean, when I grew up as a child in the 80s and 90s, in that particular time and in my particular place, it was quite normal to slapped, you know, or sent to your room and have your feelings ignored, denied, all that kind of stuff. Your voice, you know, you were voiceless as a child. Okay, thank you. And we're trying to raise our kids in a different way. We like to give them voice. We like to honour their experience, honour their feelings. And as we raise our kids, depending on like the level of all that stuff's pretty traumatic, you know, for a child, because as their primary caregiver, they seek you out if they're feeling scared. So if a kid's having a meltdown, it's because they're dysregulated, they're feeling scared, and they seek you out. And if when they seek you out, awesome, found a bug. If when they seek you out, they're met with you being scary, shouting, hitting, or sending away, then it really kind of causes a lot of cognitive dissonance and sends them into a real sort of trauma space. So a lot of us are dealing with undoing that trauma, reparenting ourselves, and as you raise your kids, you recognize all the little triggers come up from all the things you experienced. So the group is about parenting in a different way than we were parented, parenting in a way that helps our kids to grow up emotionally healthy. Yes, so that's us. Hopefully I've spoken for everyone quite well.
That's incredible. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. That's so lovely to know. And I have to say, a lot of the clients that I work with are people who are trying to reconnect with themselves. So when I'm thinking about some of the parents that you're talking about, yes, it is about making sure that your children have the best experience that you can give them. But actually, I would also say, in addition to that, that you have to look at what you yourself need in order to be able to give them the best and to give yourself the best. So whenever I'm talking about developing and growing skills, like say you want your child to experience something positive, I'd also be saying, how is that experience for you? So if there's something that doesn't resonate with you about how you're doing something or how you're coming to be in a certain situation, then to ask yourself, am I happy with this? Do the winds of change need to send me in a different direction so that I feel I'm living a more authentic and self-expressed life? So I go back, I sort of joke about the fact that I'm Asian and come from a traditional background. And actually, I'm quite lucky because I'd say my parents were very open and loving and tried to make sure that all their kids had lots of positive experiences. So we were given the opportunity to attend things like a music school where we played violin and orchestras and recorder. We did lots of singing. And then, yes, we did choose to go on and do law. I say we, I have a twin sister, and both of us did the same in different law schools. But there was always that idea of choice and standing up independently on your own 2 feet. My mum always used to say, educate yourself and stand up on your own 2 feet. So you're not relying on a husband or anything like that, even though there was an expectation. That's not what happened. In fact, I'm in a same-sex relationship and I have been for about 20 years, and I'm very, very, very happy. And actually, what I've realised as years have gone on is I don't fit the mould. I'm a wild card. I don't fit that stereotypical 2.4, whatever that is. And even though it's been challenging, it's been really amazing and scary, but brilliant to give myself permission to carve my own way in life and look within myself to find who I am and how I can best serve the world, serve the people that I, choose to work with, have a fun life, have a life full of love. With
Absolutely.
people.
The thing is, when it comes to like our kids, they will be much more able to go out and do that and to feel secure enough to be themselves and have a fun life and be brave, to have courage when they've got a really solid foundation that's rooted in love and acceptance and things that have developed their self-worth and their emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and what you were saying about, it being not just about the kids. I mean, you're absolutely right. I always say that the most fundamental thing, the most important thing we do in our parenting is modeling. So it's absolutely the opposite of do as I say, not as I do, which is how I was raised. Children will do as you do. And I talk about this a lot when I'm talking about self-care, for instance, and mums absolutely running themselves ragged, putting everybody else's needs above their own, trying to get everything done, all the jobs done, because I don't know, they feel like there's no other choice, or that's what it means to be a good mum, or there's a lot of societal pressure, maybe pressure from the family. But actually, if you look at yourself and think, wow, I am run ragged, I am burnt out, I have got nothing left, I can't even remember what fun is. And then project like 20 years into the future and think, how will you feel if that's how your kid is feeling then as an adult? Because that is what they're going to learn, that's what it means to be a mum. That's what it means.
And I think they also absorb that as well. That I think if you're surrounded by negative or stressed energy and anxiety, then anyone, especially children, are going to be sensitive to that. So they're picking up on, okay, this is how mum or my parent is handling this situation, and they carry that with them, perhaps subconsciously. So
if you're able to, and yet if they see you sometimes prioritizing yourself, and sorry, I spoke over you then.
No, go ahead. It's good.
If on the other hand they see you sometimes prioritizing yourself, even if it's 4 or 5 minutes, like I'm all about connection with my kids and I talk a lot about connection, but equally I need to recharge my batteries. So sometimes I will say, guys, I need 5 minutes, 10 minutes to myself, I just need that time to recharge for 10 minutes, even if it is just 10 minutes, you know. Or like I posted on my, I don't think I've posted in the group, but on my private profile the other day, for the second time ever, they were both out. Only the second time it's ever happened that I've not had one or the other of the children with me. And I went for a swim in the sea instead of doing the housework and the whole list of things that I needed to do, because actually I find that so important, you know. And I told them about it as well. I said, do you know what? I decided the washing up can wait, and I went for a swim, and it was really fun. And my eldest son, Harry, was like, awesome, that's great. Because I'm modeling that, you know, that yes, there are certain responsibilities in life, you know, you make certain commitments. Like right now, I've said to them, guys, I'm about to do a video, you know, do you need anything before I start, kind of thing. There are certain commitments that we make, yes, but there's loads of stuff that can kind of be shuffled around or deprioritized while we just actually just take 5 for ourselves. And I hope that when they grow up, and I think I'd be even more conscious of this if they were girls, to be honest, to hope that when they grow up, they really learn from that they are so important, that looking after themselves, looking after their own emotional well-being, their mental health as well as their physical, is just so important, because if that falls apart, everything else falls apart, you know. So me time isn't like, or self-care isn't a selfish act. It's essential. It's essential as a human being, and it's essential as a mum.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's so lovely to hear you say that, because I think a lot of people they give of themselves all the time, and that's wonderful, but actually at some point you run dry, you hit rock bottom, and then your emotions are affected, your thought processes are affected, how you function in life is affected, and you're no longer living a vibrant life full of vitality. And that's what kind of brought me to doing the kind of work I do, because I could have stayed in law as a barrister, but I just decided, do you know what? There's a lot of beautiful skill I've learned there that I want to put into a different context and forum. Not because that's a horrible place to be, but it didn't resonate with me. I can still teach people how to be self-expressed, how to have a voice, how to speak up and be heard, without being in what felt to me is just a place that didn't resonate with me. So now I work with people one-to-one or in groups, and we go on a journey where I take them from the very beginning of what's going on in your mindset, and me holding them to account. So they have accountability or accountability partners within the group, and then taking them on that journey of self-development and saying, you know, this is great. This is great that you're serving the world and your children and your jobs and all of the things you want to do. But let's look at the beginning of where you are right here, right now. And if someone comes to a session and they're feeling emotional, I'm not going to ignore it. We're going to address what's there if they want to. I mean, I'm quite intuitive. So if it doesn't feel right, I'm not going to push anyone into any direction. But I think it's important to say, if we want to make progress on something that really matters to someone, what state of mind are they in? How are they feeling emotionally? And then to carry them gently from this place of vulnerability and fear to, okay, I think I'm ready to talk and open up now about what it is I want to do and how I want to do it. And then my job is as an enabler. You know, we have different functions in life, and mine is to enable you to bring out what's within you already. So when we talk about finding the inner voice and speaking up and speaking out, it's just saying, I'm not bringing something new necessarily to your life. I'm just helping to bring out what's already within you, and then enhancing it with some sparkles and glitter along the way, so that you really shine and that you can really spread your wings and ask yourself, you know, how am I doing this? Could I be doing it differently and better? Even things like what we call the timbre of your voice, the color of your voice, how you use your voice, the inflections in your voice when they go up or when they go down, if they sound harsh and attacking or if they sound soft, will make a difference to the experience that other people have of you. So
that's so interesting. I could probably do with some of that work, actually, because I've definitely had it said that I can be blunt. My tone is often misinterpreted, but you know, maybe that's on me. Like, it's not that it's being misinterpreted, it's that I'm not using the right tone to convey what I want to say. Because yeah, I am very sort of, you know, to the point and like maybe like overly honest. but it's like I always mean it with kindness, but maybe that kindness isn't conveyed because there's just like slightly the wrong tone or timbre, as you say. So actually, that would be really helpful to know that when I'm saying something with love, it's going to be received with love as opposed to seen as
Didactical.
harsh.
Jinx.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the things I love about doing the work I do is giving people the time. I talk about it as the gift of time and space and energy for yourself. No one is going to force you to come and do my course, for example. I'm running a course in July, 7th of July. In fact, the early bird is happening at the moment. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But, you know, during that period of time, just gently giving people that 12-week period, 3 months, to really identify what it is within themselves that doesn't sit quite right, that they might want to work on. Because I know from experience, practice is a really brilliant thing. And as much as I used to get out of practice a lot when I was practicing for my grade 7 violin, I you know, until grade 7 I managed to busk it. And then we got to grade 7 and I got this new teacher, and he was like, you're going to have to practice. And then I learned what the beauty of practice can be, and seeing things change and feeling it change, and emotionally what was changing, and my confidence grew because I was making mistake after mistake after mistake, and then learning to hone my craft and learning, you know what, mistakes are a brilliant thing. The more mistakes you make, the more you know what you can throw away and don't do that again. Or when you catch yourself about to launch into something a certain way and think, I'm about to repeat that pattern. So wait, before I do that, take a deep breath. Okay, ground myself. And just in those few seconds, I've moved from, oh my God, panic moment, and I'm going to go blur, to, right, I'm ready to do this. Now I'm going to do it with energy, but controlled energy, or I'm going to channel that fear into a positive performance, or, you know, whatever it is you want to present or speak about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your in fact, we're both starting group programs in the beginning of July because you're coming to be a guest speaker for the Calm Club.
Yes.
I think you're in the second week of the Calm Club. You're our guest speaker. We're going to be doing that as a Zoom session and doing breathing practices and stuff, working on the finding your inner voice stuff, aren't we?
Yes.
And so tell us about your group program, because everyone probably knows a bit more about the Calm Club, but this is the first time we've spoken about what you're doing. So what's your group program?
So my program is about presenting with confidence. So whether you're a mum in a playground trying to find a way to articulate a message to maybe a school that you're not happy about something that maybe happened to your child, or you're in the workplace and you're finding the same people all the time speaking over you, the point of this course is to help change your experience of speaking up and speaking out so that your life changes for the better. So it's a 12-week course. We start with the module of mindset, and mindset basically gives everyone a chance to dig deep within themselves and look at things like, what are the emotions that I'm feeling right now? What are the thoughts I'm having about what's going on? What do I want to do about it? What can I do about it? And then to give people a chance to go through lots of different exercises to address those things and say, you know, how is that impacting on my life right now? Excuse me. You know, what exercises can I use to strengthen what I already have and start to bring out who I really am? So everything has to start with mindset, because if you don't believe you can do something, you won't be able to do it. If you start to believe you can do it, and perhaps with some guidance, like from a coach like me, then suddenly you're being walked side by side with someone through a process. And I'll be giving people homework, but then asking them to come back and practice it with me. And as I say, I wasn't ever very good when I was practicing violin at school, but I know when I do my sessions, we have what I call an in-action session. So if you haven't had time in the week to practice, you come to the session to practice.
Cool.
Yeah, so we start with mindset, then we go to planning, because you can't do anything unless you have a good plan. And if you have a good plan, then you can execute anything because you know what's going to happen. You can decide how you're going to do things and then plan them. We also think about image. So you might think, well, why is that relevant to me as a mum? Well, let's put it this way, if you're wearing sexy underwear, you're going to feel so much better than if you're just wearing, if you're not. And I'm not saying you have to wear sexy underwear every day. I don't, and I didn't. But there are certain moments when I might think, you know what, I'll feel better if I do this for me. It could be underwear, it could be doing my nails, it could be doing my hair, it could be that brushing my teeth. You know, just like small little things where you're just saying to yourself, am I giving myself the best chance to shine the way I want to? So when you walk, you know, whether you're with a pushchair or into an office, you're walking with gravitas and confidence and saying, I've chosen this. I didn't get pushed into this situation because I did some thought and preparation behind it. And then we get to the actual preparation, which is looking at the plan and saying, okay, well, what do I need to make this less stressful? Or what do I need to make sure that when I get to that situation where I want to speak and present myself, that I'm feeling confident? Because people have fear and nerves and anxiety quite a lot. And if you haven't gone through a bit of a process around how to actually prepare for those situations and overcome them, then you're not giving yourself the best chance. So my job is to get you from fear to fantastic, basically. And then after we've done preparation, we do what we call performance. So to begin with, there's only going to be 6 people in the group. There's 12 in 2 cohorts in total, but 6 in each group, so I can really spend time with people. And in the first performance, it's just amongst your peers within the group. And there'll be a Q&A, so that if someone asks you something, you know how to answer it. So sometimes people ask you questions and you think, oh God, I don't know, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know how to say it, I don't know how to articulate.
My mind's gone blank. That's what happens to me. My mind, I know this stuff, but my mind has just suddenly gone blank, and I know physiologically that that's nerves, and it's because my cortex has gone offline and I can't access, you know. But my God, is it annoying when that happens?
Yeah, and there are little simple things you can do. Like, no, it's really relevant what you're saying there. And, you know, distraction. So, for example, if you're feeling nervous, there's just a little technique where you can just put your thumbnail into your finger and just press a little bit. And it takes away the distraction of what's going on in your mind into a different part of your body physically, rather than what's going on in your thought. And there are, you know, sort of breathing exercises, which we'll be looking at a little bit in the July session, but just all these little tips and tricks that you can learn to instill confidence within yourself. And the ultimate goal is that when you present to a public audience, which there will be at the end of this course, I mean, you can choose anything you want to present. They could literally be saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. Or someone could say, I'm going to present what I'm going to say to my chief executive at a board meeting next month. It's entirely up to you, but it's about games and exercises that are going to help to bring you to a place of confidence. So by the end of that 12 weeks, you should feel different. You should feel different, not just in your working life, but also in your personal life. You know, when we're talking about parenting your children, that there might be 2 or 3 things that you say, well, I'm not really sure about this. And we'll spend that 12 weeks looking at it and saying, okay, well, what could we do differently? It's like trying different hats or outfits on, seeing, okay, this one really works for me. It resonates with me. This one really doesn't. And then practicing so that if it feels uncomfortable, like saying no, people find it really hard to say no. So if you can practice saying no and not feeling really crappy about it, then life can feel so much better and more enriching. So it's a 12-week course. It starts on the 7th of July, but the early bird is now. But to be honest, if anyone in your group wants to jump on, please just send me a DM, a direct message. I'll be on, I think my contact details are in the group anyway, aren't they now?
Well, what we'll do is under this post, if you want to put all your details there, if you've got a free group like this one, do you run the group? Okay, so if you put all of your links to your, sorry, Arthur's being a cat right now. He's meowing. Are you being a cat? Meow, meow. Yeah. So if you put your links to your group and the links for all the info on the course and everything that you want to put in the comments underneath the video, then anyone and we have had people watching. I've seen we've had like 3 or 4 people watching the entire time. If you are watching, feel free to say hi as well. And if you're watching on replay, let us know that you've seen it. And if you've got any questions, put them in there. And Aneesa can stay in the group and answer any questions that come up. Or you're free to DM her, PM her.
Contact me, basically. However.
Yeah, whatever. Send a message. Send a bloody message.
Don't be afraid to questions. You know, there's a lot of different approaches to learning and teaching, and I like to do quite close contact work with people, so they really feel they're getting a personal service rather than just doing a Facebook Live, which is an approach, and everything that I do on Zoom will be streamed as well. But there's something about that conversation that I think can really
Yes.
help.
We were
Yeah.
talking about this, weren't we? Because I've actually changed up. So for the first round of the Calm Club, I was doing that. I was on the Monday, I was just going live and delivering all of the information. And then we were all getting together for the actual coaching session on the Thursday via Zoom. And I loved those Thursday Zooms. And I almost kind of dreaded the Mondays. And I thought, do you know what? This is my program. Why am I making it be something that I dread? That is absolutely senseless. So I've decided now this time round, when we start in July, we're just going to do both on Zoom. So we'll go into a Zoom on Monday, because that interaction, that actually talking to, I feel like a right numpty just talking to a screen. I really do.
A lot of people doing a lot of work with entrepreneurs at the moment, and certainly since lockdown, there are a lot more people who have been furloughed and decided, sod this, I'm going to change my life and go online. But the thing they really hate the most is Facebook Lives, where they have to talk to a nebulous audience. And I've just said, you know, it doesn't have to be traumatic in that way. Like, part of the course actually looks at online teaching and webinars and Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives, but also if you're doing face-to-face presenting as well. You know, they're different. There are a lot of the same techniques and same experiences, but there are some things that are different. So it doesn't have to be as traumatic as, you know, it seems, because all you have to do is make a choice, like you did, and say, right, my decision is I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it via Zoom.
Yeah.
I like that interactive element.
Definitely.
I like the feedback. I like the immediate feedback. And actually, I'm quite a visual person. So, like, if I'm learning something, I learn by reading better than, like, I don't use Audible. I can't take information in like that, really. I need to read it on a page written down. And actually, when I'm talking to people, I need to be able to see their faces so I can read all the expressions and micro expressions, and are they leaning forward, are they, and just everything that's going on physically with a person. I need to be able to see that to really be able to communicate with them. So talking to a blank screen is just,
that's really interesting, because a lot of people I've been working with are neurodiverse. So some of them are dyspraxic, some of them are dyslexic, some have ADHD. I've myself identified that I have an element of dyslexia and what I call figure phobia. And so when I teach, I try and make it as diverse as possible. So things will arrive in written form, but audio delivery is really important too. So you can pick, but I think a lot of this kind of development is around doing, and that's the most scary thing. So if people can do it and have support with how to do it, then that should hold them in good stead. Because basically, I'm not saying, okay, this is what your homework is, off you go and do it. I'm saying, right, let's look at this. Okay, what are you scared about right now? Right, so just say that with me now. We can even say it together. Right, now say it on your own. Say it on your own a few times, 3 times. Okay, now change the inflections in your voice here when you say that bit there. Okay, now do it without me again. All right, in half an hour, ping me a message on WhatsApp or email with a little video or something that shows me you're doing it somewhere else. It could be just an interaction with someone. For some people, it's like I'm at the bar and people never hear me. I'm always being ignored. And saying, okay, let's find a way to get you into that space where you get served and you're not being this feeling of being walked all over and ignored. All right, I'm in the
that's the worst feeling invisible. I've had that at certain times in my life, where especially in like maybe like a big group, when I used to have big groups of friends, I tend to be more, you know, really tiny social circle now. But when you're young in your sort of early 20s and stuff, and you go out in this group of 20 people and you're all kind of around these massive tables in a bar somewhere, and you tend to break off into sort of triads, I think, almost. And I find myself being like the third wheel, though, like everyone else was taking turns to talk, but I'd never quite get my turn. You know, I did used to find that quite a lot when I was younger. And then, like I said to you, now it's almost like the opposite. I feel conscious that I overly monopolize the conversation, and then I feel anxious afterwards running through it in my mind. Oh my god, they must think I'm really selfish, I said way too much, I overshared, why do I always do this?
Yeah, it's possible that you're making up for lost time, but also you said exactly what one of my other clients said the other week, where I noticed that she was talking a lot from here and she had a lot of strain like in the larynx, and I said, it sounds to me like you're pushing really hard so that you can be heard. And then she explained to me how she was a child of 9 siblings, and with 9 siblings, and then you always had to fight to speak up and be heard. And I want to know what Arthur's saying.
He's asking if he can go in the tricycle and I can push him round in it. And Arthur, I will, like 2 minutes. We're just going to say goodbye now, okay? And I'll be with you.
Okay. Yeah, so there's all these small little things where we can look at what the history is, but then say, okay, here I am, here and now. I'm not going to disregard what's happened in the past, because of course it's valid. It forms and shapes who we've become. But I also say you have a choice right here and right now to change and invent your life. We don't know when our last moment or breath will be.
Yeah, she's got a pink tricycle and you've got a green one.
Yeah, a colourful one.
Yeah, you've got a colourful one. Sorry, I think I'm going to have to put it down now. I think he's done. We've been on for 30 odd minutes, and I think he's reached about his limit of time that he can amuse himself for. But thank you so much. It's so interesting to talk to you. I didn't really know what it was exactly that you did. I'm really interested to find out more. If any of the group members here are interested to find out more, as I say, stick your links in underneath this video, and yeah, we can contact you. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Stay in touch.
Thanks for talking to
me,
me.
everyone.
Will do. Bye, everyone.